By now, you've probably heard that home prices here in the GTA and even throughout the country are falling. Now, the main reason is probably because prices were way too high to begin with, but there are other reasons too. Exactly why is this happening? Will prices keep coming down? And what does it mean for you? Let's jump right in. According to Treb, here in the GTA, every single asset type is down. Single detached homes are down 6% year over year. Semi-detached homes are down 4.5% year over year. Condo apartments are down the most at 7.3%. And condo townhomes are down 6.7%. And if you compare those prices to the peak of 2022, we're down even more. And this is a pretty consistent trend across all asset types and even across the country. Why? Well, condo apartments are down the most for the obvious reason that there's just way too much supply. If you've heard the news, watched my other videos, you'll know why condo apartments are plummeting the most. And I'll put a link in the description so you can catch up if you haven't seen it. Now, condo townhomes, these are appreciating or depreciating in price a little less than condo apartments because they are a bit more livable, but because you don't own the land, they're still tanking a bit more than freehold homes. Now, freehold semi-detached homes are actually holding their value the best. Reason being, there's actually just a way shorter, smaller supply of semi-detached homes compared to condos or even freehold single detached homes. And they're like the first asset type where first-time home buyers can enter in. That's a freehold home without those condo fees. So there's always lots of competition, which actually holds value. So these semi-detached hold value quite well. And finally, single detached homes are down 6%, which is quite significant. This is just year over year. Why? Well, let's jump in. First of all, what exactly determines the price of a home? Well, it's the buyers, right? And what exactly determines how much a buyer is able to afford or offer on a home? It's how much they're able to borrow. Now, banks and lenders typically, as a rule of thumb, will lend 4 to 5 times household income in the form of a mortgage. So if you're looking at $1 million house, you're probably gonna need a household combined income of around $200,000. Now, it's 2025, almost 2026, and we live in a completely different world, even compared to like 2-3 years ago, when something that we take for granted now, ChatGPT didn't even exist, right? Like, you can use that technology to write all of your copy, your YouTube script. I didn't, I wrote this myself, but you could use it to write your YouTube script, your sales copy, marketing copy, emails. You could even have it write and audit your code. So it's incredible, right? And what does that mean? Well, that technology, that AI puts a lot of jobs at risk. So in the back of buyers' minds, it's like a lot of people are probably shopping around for jobs or retraining themselves or, finding other sources of income in the gig economy, right? So if you sign up for a mortgage for 25, 30 years, you're going to have to pay that mortgage amount every month for 25, 30 years, basically your entire working life, right? And if you miss even one payment because you lose your job to automation, you're kind of in a lot of trouble. And that's why power of sale transactions have doubled in the last year, and I see them going up even more. Gone are the days where you come out of university, 20, 21, whatever, and you work the same job your entire life. Unless you're like a firefighter or a cop or a teacher or something, most jobs are not for that long of a period of time, especially not in 2025 where things are changing so much. So the number one reason why I think prices are coming down is because of this income risk. Because remember, that is the main factor for how much banks will lend you. And most folks, not everybody, but most folks have most of their income coming in from one source, which is their employer. So if that's at risk, well, how much they offer is also going to come down. Also, let's talk about the cost of living in Canada. Everybody has basically become less liquid. I don't care if the Bank of Canada says they have inflation under control. It's under 2% now, 1.5%, 1.7. They've already done the damage permanently.
22.46. Holy shit.
You know, a brand new BMW or Mercedes is going to cost you $100,000 where it used to cost you 50. Buying groceries for a household of like, you know, 2 kids, 2 parents, it's gonna cost you like at least a couple $100 a week where it used to maybe cost half that. Just leaving your house, like walking out the door is gonna cost you $100. So, I mean, if everything is more expensive, then people aren't going to be able to afford as much house, right? It doesn't matter if you're making 50K combined or 200K combined, basically everybody is affected. Essentially, they've decimated the middle class in real time, and if people are spending so much money just living, right, then obviously they're not going to be able to afford as much house. So this is why the age of the average first-time home buyer keeps going up and up and up and up, right? We have income risk, and I didn't even talk about, you know, not just automation, but like we live in a globally connected world. So Canadians are competing with everybody for income, right? You're competing with the software engineer from Nigeria. You're competing with the consultant from India, right? Like there's a lot more income risk, and there's a cost of living crisis. And I didn't even mention the costs of home ownership, which continue to go up as well, right? So for example, property taxes will go up. Your utilities, how about the renovations, right? Hiring a contractor to paint this house is gonna cost you $1,000. Major renovations are gonna cost you tens of thousands of dollars, right? Which is way more expensive than it used to be. And don't forget that land transfer tax. So costs of everything have gone up. And just like how condo apartments get older, maintenance fees goes up, single detached homes, freehold homes, they get older too. Sometimes you look and you drive through a neighborhood and all the homes are built in the 70s, and you walk in and you'll need 50, 100K just to renovate the home in order to make it livable, right? And like I said, contractors are super expensive too. So you got to factor that into home prices as well. And like I mentioned before, power of sales have doubled, and I think that number will keep going up with time. But even if the bank is not taking your home, most Canadians have a large part of their total equity tied up in their house. So if things are getting more expensive, people are becoming less liquid because, you know, it costs $20 to get some kale, and, you know, maybe they finance their mortgage in the COVID years because that's when they bought at a low percentage, and now they're refinancing and their mortgage is like $500, $1,000 more, right? Then you're gonna have a lot of sellers or homeowners forced to sell their home because they have no other way to get money, right? The money's tied into their house. So if the cost of living crisis is affecting everybody, then more people will be forced to sell their homes, which increases the amount of listings. And like we mentioned, there's not that many buyers out there. Like, who's really buying a single detached home? It's most likely upsizers, or it's people looking to start a family and need more space. So there's just a finite amount of buyers, and if a lot of people are forced to sell their homes, then that's how you get the situation that we're in. And here's another tangent. It's like, if you're traditionally, right, if you're going to sell your condo to buy a townhouse or even a single detached because you need more space, well, before, great, you just sell your condo and then you get a detached. But now, because condo prices have plummeted, you're not going to get as much equity from your condo, which means you're not going to be able to afford as much of a house on the other side when you upsize, right? Because the condo market has come down significantly, then that has a domino effect on the rest of the market. And real estate is such a unique and different market compared to some of the other assets out there. So for example, I mentioned there's not that many buyers out there, right? And even though power of sales and more people are listing their homes, still, I mean, a neighborhood is a neighborhood. There's only a finite amount of homes in that neighborhood. Compare that to something like Bitcoin or Apple stock, where you have a global market, millions of transactions every day, right? So whoever bought Bitcoin a minute ago doesn't really affect the overall price of Bitcoin as much, even if it's a huge whale, right? It's not the case for real estate, because fewer transactions in real estate are responsible for driving price changes, right? Because think about it, if you have one sale in a neighborhood, right, in a block, when you're doing your comparative market analysis, if that house sells for 100K lower, then none of the other homes on that block can justify their listing price. Or if it sells 100K higher, then every seller on that block was going to be like, well, I want that same price. So a few transactions are responsible for the 6% decrease year over year on the single detached homes. It's not the case for equities, it's not the case for crypto, and I think that's one of the major reasons why real estate is so cyclical. When it's up, everybody has FOMO and everyone wants in, and when it's down, everything comes down. Also, let's face it, morale in this country is perhaps at an all-time low. The country faces significant brain drain and capital drain issues. Pierre Poilievre just posted this. In May alone, $16.2 billion of capital fled Canada. Over the last 4 months, $84 billion have left the country. That's no joke, guys. That's a lot of energy leaving the country. And you bet your bottom dollar that affects real estate prices as well. If you're super wealthy in Canada, chances are you're hedging your bet or you're leaving the country entirely, right? Just look at Jordan Peterson. He just listed his Toronto home for sale because he's never here anymore. And say what you want about the guy, he's probably one of the most intellectually capable people in this country.
Chimps are quite patriarchal.
And if he's selling his home and leaving the country, it's not a good sign. That's brain drain, right? Your best people in your country are leaving, which ultimately will drive home prices down. And if even if you're not leaving this country, right? Even if you love this country and you're super wealthy, or even if you're upper middle class, whatever, if you're not leaving this country, chances are you're hedging your bets, right? You're hedging your money. You're putting your capital elsewhere. Even I'm doing this, right? I know a lot of people buying American multifamily homes or putting their money in other places in the world, right? So that will affect the Canadian real estate market because less people are buying Canadian real estate because, like I said, morale is pretty low in this country. So those are other two reasons why prices, I think, are coming down. And let's be real here, the country has taken a turn for the worse over the last few years. I don't see how you can argue otherwise. And if you're gonna spend $1 million, right, buying your forever home, think about what that actually means. That means for the next 30 years, for my entire working life, from the time, let's say I'm 30 years plus 60, most people retire at 60, so your entire life, I'm going to be using my energy to pay off this $1 million house. Well, it better be damn worth it. And that house better be amazing in a fantastic neighborhood in a fantastic country. So if the country is getting swarmed by crime, or if the city, the country too, if the place that you're buying your home is getting swarmed by tents and crime and investment properties, and what else is there? Oh, Dollarama's popping up everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, why would you spend that money in a forever home, right? There's just less incentive to purchase at such a high price. Look, at the end of the day, when countries get poor, their real estate comes down. But let's end this video with some optimism. It's been too pessimistic, right? Because in every crisis, there actually is opportunity if you know where to look. And it seems like the problems that have hit Canada have hit every country in the West post-COVID. I wonder why. Maybe I'll save that for another video. That is definitely another video in and of itself. But yeah, like where else are you gonna buy property? Look around the world. Europe is in chaos. The Middle East is at war. Asia is super authoritarian and overcrowded. And America has their own problems. So relatively speaking, I think Canada is still pretty great. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm still super bullish on Canada. Now, I think it's not over yet. I know it looks really dark for the country, but it's not over yet because a country's future is dictated by the collective belief systems and energies of the citizens that inhabit that country. So guys, let's think more positively. Overall, plummeting home prices across the board may be bad for some, but I actually think it is a good thing for the country, for the economic foundation of the country. Even as a homeowner myself, I wouldn't mind if prices kept dropping because they were just way too high. I think we are entering a correction period because the invisible hand of the market always works. Maybe less so in the GTA because we got a lot of interfering players, but as a whole, the market typically balances itself, and I think that's what we're seeing. In terms of how much prices will drop even more going into the future, I made another video detailing that in way more detail. I'll put the link in the description if you're curious on my thoughts of that. I think prices will definitely still come down. And that's the interesting part about real estate. Like a lot of my buyers are very confused because they're like, oh, what about this home? It's sold for like 50K above asking. And that's the beauty of real estate. Even in a down market, there's always anomalies because no two homes are alike. If a buyer is approved for, let's say, $1 million mortgage, they might overpay by 50 to 100K because they really love that home. They have a really great feeling. The house number adds up to the number that they like. There's no fours in the house number. It faces a certain direction. And so they're able to overpay even in a downward market. So that's what makes real estate interesting. Those anomalies definitely still happen, and it kind of messes up the comparable market analysis for everybody. And that's why it is always interesting. It is never a dull day in real estate. So if you need help navigating this ever-changing Toronto real estate market, feel free to reach out to our team below and we'll see if we can help. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.